Welcome to episode 70 of Live with the Glitter Practitioner. of Live with the Glitter Practitioner. That is me, Dr. Noopy. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited to bring on my guest again. He's amazing. Anyway, for those of you who don't know me, I am a GP, a family physician in the UK, and I'm also a speaker and transformation life coach. And I am absolutely passionate about sharing and showing others how to truly recognize their whole self needs from a mind, body, and soul perspective. And what do I mean by this? It's all aspects of self, which is your whole health. And when this is all in alignment, mind, body, and soul, that's when the magic and the glitter really starts to flow. And I created a framework which I have very originally called my F list because every word begins with an F. And this is a framework that guides other people and shows them how to rebalance their health needs and how to keep them topped up. And I think the best way to show you how this feels to work through the F list and coming back into alignment is really through my brand story, which was created by the insanely talented Devon James Stinson, who has managed to just, oh, it's beautiful, always gives me fizz tingles every time I watch it. And it really shows, I guess, the essence of working through this framework and riding the storms to get to the sunset always. So, without further ado, my wonderful big brother and patient Mr. Producer, may we have the brand story, please?
Follow the light through the storm. And this is not a light that warns, it's a light that forms on the pathway ahead. So you can maneuver around disaster instead of getting stopped by the obstacles. It just takes changing the obstacles. And then the impossible turns to possible. And then the storm lifts. You're no longer adrift. Breathe, focus, you've got this. Ahead you see a figure, a kind soul, and on the inside it feels like you might glow. Your endless cycles of cyclones have been turned to a breeze that just slightly blows. You're adorned with glitter, where you literally feel like a kid again. And this is when you realize how much of your life you've missed. And then you talk more with Dr. Nupi Aurora, who will holistically change your aura, where you and the new you won't be like strangers. No, you'll be like friends. Because this whole process is simply life changing. So if you're feeling frazzled and you want to find your fizz and dazzle, then book a call with Dr. Nupi Aurora by messaging her right here on LinkedIn.
Oh, it's so soothing. I absolutely love it. Right, without further ado, I am going to bring on my amazing guest, Dr. Terrence Johnson.
How you doing, Dr. Noopy?
Stressing. I have no idea if this is working, not working. Oh my goodness me. Oh, technical issues is what we have been having.
I know, but look,
I,
we here now. We here now. We made it. So
yeah, exactly, exactly. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for coming back on.
thanks for having me.
Oh, how are you? How are you?
I'm good. I've kind of been in a self-reflective kind of state for a while, which is good. To kind of reflect over kind of like where I'm at, but where I want to go, and kind of
Yes,
what life is kind of trying to teach me right now. I think I'm really trying to get in
yes,
tune to that.
yes, yes. Yes, I know exactly what you mean, actually. And I think that going off a little bit off tangent, but I think there's just been some huge energy shifts. It's the, oh gosh, there's loads been going on. I know exactly what you mean. And
Yeah,
I've been very similar. Oh my God, there's been four supermoons for heaven's sake. I can't take it. We've had Mercury in retrograde, supermoon, and then we've got eclipses coming. It's crazy. But
yeah,
yes, I've done very similar as well.
yeah,
Just lots of reflection. And as your title says, I have been excavating inwards, basically.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's important though. I think that's
Yeah,
a lot of times we don't. But I think the reason why we can get overwhelmed is because so much of life kind of compiles on us before we get to the point of clearing some of it out. And most of the days,
yes,
to clean it outside of the inside of us,
yes,
and that's not a you can't get that answer from somebody else. You have to sit with yourself and get that answer. And I think that's
yeah,
what's
yeah,
harder because we're on the go so much. We have all these responsibilities and things to do, and we don't take time to really check in with ourselves or put ourselves first, not in a selfish way, but in like a preservation way. It's like I have to kind of check in with myself so I don't burn out or I don't
yeah,
overextend myself, or I don't agree to too much stuff that I shouldn't do or not for me to do. And so I kind of been doing a lot of that lately where it's like
yeah.
not that I'm like in hibernation or kind of like self-secluding
I
myself.
am.
Well, yeah, kind of so, yeah. But it's been because when you on the go or you kind of been doing a lot or people enjoy your energy, you
Yes,
have to kind of recharge and replenish that
yes,
energy you give out. And people don't realize that, they're like, oh, you're so happy. Oh, it's always a good time. Like, yeah, but that takes energy for me to show up like that. And if too many people I have to show up for like that, then I will get depleted and I'll get frustrated. And I'm like, wait, okay, well, I need to feed myself first before I can be present with other people. And if my tank is empty, then I can't look forward to somebody else giving me what I can give myself. And
yes,
that's something that I've really been intentional
yes,
about. Like, how do I feed myself or how do I get back connected to things that feed me and not always feel like I have something I have to do in
mm,
order to kind of check stuff off my list every day.
mm. Oh my goodness, that is, yes, mirror, mirror on the wall. That is exactly what I have been doing too. And I mean, I'm really enjoying hibernating, to be honest. I
It's
really am. It's good, and it's not stagnant because it's a quiet time, but it's still active, if that makes
Mhm,
sense. It's not sort of staying completely still. It's actually going in and quietly observing and quietly tweaking things. And I know exactly what you mean about, yes, being that positive and that energy,
mhm,
but to keep that going, you need to top up your own glitter supply, and that is crucial. And it is about resting and recouping, and it's the quiet time things. I've really enjoyed meditating and just journaling and writing and just doing a couple of creative things and nothing else.
mhm,
And I've been really good at keeping a boundary of not extending myself. It's enough what I've done. I need to put me first after my clinics. And if I've got anything left over, then I come onto social media. But
mhm,
I'm listening to things still and I'm engaging where I can. And
mhm,
I'm not in any way, shape going. I'm really confident. You know, oh, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. I did at the beginning, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh no, I'm gonna be disappearing. Everyone's gonna forget this, and all you'll see is a trail of glitter. She was here once, and I'm like, you know what? I've accepted the fact that you can't do that the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
and it is about discernment as well, and choosing really carefully who you want to share your energy with and who
Mm-hmm.
you want to let come back into that space. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I've been discovering. And it's been an interesting journey. Yeah, it's been a bit of a cave. It's been a bit hermity, but in a nice
Mm-hmm.
way, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I have been excavating, basically. It's exactly what your title said, which we never got round to talking about the last time you were on.
Well, look, that's a perfect segue. You know, we just dive on in there. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's kind of been it's been morphing of what I thought it was at the beginning because I was trying, and I'm still on that journey of you know kind of like what's your brand, what kind of encapsulate you and what you
Yes,
do and how you show up,
yes.
and so it's difficult for me to kind of try and boil myself down into like word or roles or whatever because I've done so many different things. That it's hard to find something that like, oh, that feels right for me. Because before I was a life excavator, I was a life architect because that's kind of where I started in my academic career. I was an architecture major, so I was like, oh, I help people
Okay.
build the life that they want and all that. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if that really feels right either. And so then it transitioned to life excavating. It was real about helping people really like dig back down and kind of like uncover their purpose or rediscover their purpose.
Yes.
Now it's kind of evolved into more or less like how can you excavate your life to where you can get the lessons from the things that you experienced, and what is life trying to teach you, and then how can you learn from yourself and learn how to be the teacher of yourself, because I think it's we seek out, so I love to read. Like, I'm always trying to learn. And so you're investing all these things in courses and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, wait a minute, what do what do I think of what feels right to me? Because everybody's trying to kind of position you to like, oh, you need this. Oh, you got this the missing piece. Oh, we can, but it's like, what feels right to me? Or what used to feel right to me, and then people told me it wasn't right, or I saw on social media, or I watched the movie, or whatever. Like, oh, this is what life is supposed to be. And so for me, it's kind of been reconnecting with the things that I've always been passionate about, which is writing, which is like telling stories, like visual, through like video and all that. I've always been a creative person in very traditional settings. And that's frustrating at times because you see things differently or you experience them differently. And like, hey, why don't we do this? Oh, hey, look, I got this idea. They're like, yeah, but this is how we always do it. And he's like, but it could be so much better. Like if we try it this way, and just to see what it's like. And so it's real about these journeys we go on. And ironically, I was watching a documentary about they found this hidden pyramid in Egypt, and so it was like archaeologists and stuff. And what they were saying is, it's like when you have in the present, you're in the current stage, but when you kind of dig down beneath the surface, you're going back to the past. And so, like, you having these conversations between 2 points in time. And I think our past has a lot to tell us if we can tune into it, not for the pain of it, but the lessons of it, or it's stories that we forgot. And then if we learn how to navigate back to them, they add so much more back to our life. And so my thing I've been excavating is like our family history. So like right before we got on, my mom called and my grandma was talking to me. So they found something else. And so my grandmother, she's 92 years old. And it's like I'm real adamant about preserving the stories that she has to tell, because
Wow.
a lot of times when people they get older, people don't appreciate them, or they don't sit down and talk to them and ask them questions and ask them about, how life was for them. And so you miss these opportunities to learn things or to get taught things about the past, because you always so focused on the future or what you want to do or achieve. And it is always rewarding for me, and it makes her feel good too, because I intentionally want to hear these stories. And like I said, there's another lady here. I was talking to her earlier today. She volunteers at the gym, Miss Cat. So she's 87. And so she talks and she tells me about these things, and they get excited about that. And so I enjoy that, because a lot of people don't see the value in older people. And I've always been somebody that's been around older people. That people say I got an old soul, and like I'm a young man in an old body. But
Yeah.
I, I
Same.
learned so much from hearing about like what life was for them and their wisdom. And they real funny people too. They talk and they say different things, because at that
Yeah.
time they don't really have a filter anymore, so they just say any everything.
Exactly. I love it. I love the same energy. I'm like, say it as it is. Fuck it. I can just imagine actually on a rocking chair, like when I'm in about another 40 years maybe, and I'll
Yeah,
be like just saying it as it is, swearing my head off.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
yes, in my day, this is what we did. You let me
yeah,
tell you, young
yeah,
ones. Yes, I can
yeah,
see it.
yeah,
Seriously. Oh my
yeah.
God. And actually, if you were on a rocking chair next to me, I don't actually think we'd stop giggling, to be honest. We just
Yeah, no, I enjoy, I really enjoy like
ah,
one-on-one conversations with people. And
yeah.
I think that's because life excavation. So like you were talking about your framework, I've been working it into a framework, but I wanted to do it more like a story. And
Nice.
so the archaeology kind of goes into it too. So the archaeology, you have these tools, and so I wanted to use those tools more like a metaphor of ways that you can get back to yourself or your core story.
Oh,
And so you got like the shovel, and the shovel is it more represents kind of like the work you do that nobody else sees. Or so like for me, I'm
okay.
doing a lot of this research. So nobody
Yeah.
sees a lot of that I do, as far as like getting on Ancestry or going to the archives or doing all this different stuff.
And that's hard.
But that's the work that I have to do
Yeah.
in order to kind of get down to this. And then you have like the hammer. And so if you building things or whatever, that's a repetitive skill. So it's like, what do you have to do consistently to get to what you want to get to? And then
Oh, I like it.
you have like the compass. So most people think about the compass in direction as far as like location now in the here and now, but you have internal compass too. So like, what causes you to go in the direction that you're going? Like, what influences that? And a lot of times we're not in control of that internal compass. We kind of allow other people to steer us, or we feel like we're guided by something outside of ourselves. So, like for me, with this genealogy, it I don't feel in control of this. I feel guided, spiritually guided. It's so many parallels and stuff that randomly happens. I can't even explain it. I feel like I've been chosen to do, and I've tried to run away from it several times, and it keep coming back to me. So like, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. So okay, let's do it. Um,
Yeah.
and then you have the map, and so for me, the map is like all these important locations. And so we all have like important locations in our life, but they're like stories there that we can, like, if I ask you like what's one of your favorite memories, you go to a location that's tied to a
Yeah.
location and a
Yeah.
time. You're like, that time, that, oh, let me
Yeah.
tell you. And so we forget about that. And if you look at it like a map, it's easy to visualize. Like, okay, I've been here, here, here. I live here, here, here. Oh, this vacation we went here, here. So it's easy to pinpoint those things. Um, and then with the blueprint, that's kind of like you get the whole kind of like viewpoint of the area that you're in or the context. And so for me, as I'm researching and doing all these things, my blueprint is kind of like looking through the lens of who I'm researching. So like, what was it like in 1835, and how were they feeling, and what were they thinking about? Or it's kind of like that other layer of what information is there and what's missing, and how can I
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
and then, am I missing one? I think I'm missing one. I can't because I think it's, oh, I added one. It's kind of the camera, and so you'll see when people do like excavations and archaeology, they have like a camera or they document stuff, and that's for is like preservation, because you might find something and then the next day it might be gone. Or somebody might take it or something like that. And so you have to document things as you go
Yeah.
along to preserve it, because that's the other piece. You want to be able to preserve it so you can better tell the story.
Yeah.
Um,
So you can pass it on. That's the whole point. And
yeah.
as you were talking, actually, when you were saying about different areas
Mhm,
and you're digging deeper, the image that just kept coming into my head was it's almost like these parallel
mhm,
worlds,
mhm,
and it's the layers behind what's
mhm,
here,
mhm,
what has created, what's been a driving force almost to get to this.
mhm.
And it's retrieving. Ooh,
That's a
it's
new.
retrieving.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, it is.
Look, I just wrote that down. I just wrote it down because I'm all about words. So it hit me. That felt good to me. I was like, okay, let me write that down.
It reminds me of shamanism, actually. It's soul retrieval.
Mhm,
And it's retrieving parts of your ancestry, your previous life selves, all these layers,
mhm,
and it's bringing it back, bringing that wisdom back with it, and
mhm,
leaving the trauma, leaving the
mhm,
hardships behind. But it's
mhm,
the hardships or whatever was behind that lesson that's been learned that then has come through. And it's understanding that transition phase of
mhm,
this was a really crap time, this was my learning.
mhm,
What did I, how did I get from there to there? And how can I extrapolate that into
mhm,
my life now?
mhm,
Because
mhm,
it's all interlinked time and
mhm,
time again. It really is. Oh,
mhm,
it's fascinating. And
mhm.
it is, it's all these parallel. Oh, I'm going all sci-fi and interstellar on you now because I love it. And it's, there are so many different timelines, though. You can
Yep.
shift
Mhm,
and you can retrieve. That's what I believe, anyway.
mhm, mhm. No, it's, and that's like I said, we don't have time to go in. I can't go into all of it. How I've been finding those layers and connections, but one running theme that I've been finding is a
Yes.
lot of the history. It's like I'm retracing my ancestors like steps,
Okay.
because like it's a connection to New Orleans with what I've been finding. And I was born in Baton Rouge. We stayed in New Orleans for a while, and I always had a sense of like wanting to go back there, or I always felt like I would move back there. And I'm like, well, why do I feel like this feels familiar to me? And then
Oh, I got goosebumps then.
yeah, yeah, it's some, like I said, I can't get into it, because if I got into it, we'll be on the whole 30 more minutes for me to go through all the stuff. But it's like, even where I stay here, it's a whole story that connects to Gallatin that I've been finding, and it's like, oh, wait, that's how I got here. Because people would ask me that all the time. How did you move from Jackson, Mississippi to Gallatin, Tennessee? What made you come up here? I was like, God. And that was my that was my answer for a long time. They're like, I didn't know this place existed. I didn't know anything about it. But it's like the last month or so, it's like I know why I'm here now. I know why I had to navigate my way up here because these stores are coming back around and they all kind of come through here too. And it's like I can't make this up. Like I couldn't have written this out for myself. If I if I went into all the different parallels and the levels like you said, you was like, this is this is crazy. It's like because it feels crazy to me sometimes. It literally feels like I get freaked out by it sometimes. Like I look at something, watch, I'm like, ah, wait, okay,
Just
like
get in touch
how
with
did
our,
this happen to
just get in
me?
touch with our,
Like
just
what's
get in
going
touch with
on?
Karen. Honestly, just get in touch with Karen and Joan. They will see us right. Seriously. Karen,
Oh,
Pascal,
so
Joan,
yeah,
love you
yeah,
guys to bits. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
they keep me on the straight and narrow, actually. It's brilliant. They're like, you're doing great. You're doing great. And I'm like, really? I don't feel it. Give
Yeah.
me more, give me more. Let me know I'm doing okay. I know. Oh,
No,
it's
I get
yeah.
it. And they both of them were one of the first people that I kind of that knew I was starting this journey. So they kind of been in the loop about it for a while.
Yeah.
And so when I first kind of just like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And when I made the trailer, like they were the first one of the first people that I showed it to. And I just remember their reaction. It was like, you gotta you this for you, you gotta do it. Like this for you. I said, I know. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I feel that way. And then I should do it. I don't know how all the pieces gonna
Oh,
play out, but they've been coming together slowly. But I just, you get to a point where you do something that is outside of just, oh, this makes business sense. Oh, this is a good opportunity. It's like, no, I'm gonna learn something about
it's
myself.
so much more than that.
Yeah, by
It
doing this.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
You know,
and
I had a sorry, go on.
no, you go ahead, go ahead.
When you were talking earlier, just then, I got this image of it's always like a wanderer. It's like
Hmm.
you are on a mission. It's
Hmm.
well, it's not a pilgrim. Not a
Like a
pilgrimage.
nomad.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's the word. Yes.
Hmm.
I saw you literally in this sort of brown, like tunic thing with
Uh-huh.
a staff, and you've got like this old-fashioned, like really old age stuff,
Yeah.
and you've got all your belongings on your back, and you are
Hmm.
just slowly but surely retracing and going
Hmm.
around. That's the image I just got then.
No, but that's so. Well, it's not ironic, but for a long time, years ago, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a digital nomad. I want to like travel the world and go and see different places. But now, and you said another word too that kind of resonates with me, like pilgrimage. So I feel that this with the genealogy, this is kind of like my version of pilgrimage. And it's kind of
Yeah,
like going to these sites and honoring these
yeah,
places my ancestors have been. And so
yeah.
I've been real adamant about these stories being told, but honoring them and giving them the honor that they didn't get while they were living.
Oh,
Because so many of them, they did so many great things and nobody knows about it. And
yeah.
you can't find it and you had to go search for them. So I feel that that's at the core of that's why I want to do it because they
Mm.
never got that. They were just
Oh,
trying to
they
survive.
wish.
And
Yeah.
and so like each one of these places has these different stories that haven't been told. And it's like I'm stumbling upon like oh this story. And like, wait, I didn't know that. Like, did y'all know that? Like who nobody knew this? Like, why don't other people know this? And that's like one that I want to tell. and I'm trying to get all the pieces to it. And I knew it earlier as a child, but I've been getting more layers to it. So my grandparents, they bought a two-story house in like 1965 from from a white lady, but it was already kind of like 50 years old then. The house was so big they had to take like pieces of it off, like this piece of the porch or whatever. But the unique thing about it was they had to put it on like a flatbed, like an 18 wheeler, and they transported it from the original site to my grandparents' land, like the 4th of July weekend. And it's like, anybody have pictures of that? Like, was somebody around? Like, did they put that in? I'm like, somebody got something about that. So I'm trying to find like the pictures of the original house. I'm trying to figure out like if somebody else kind of knew about it or remember that happening. And my mom and stuff, they know it, but nobody documented it. But that's
Yeah.
not common for Black people in the 60s to have a house, to buy a house and own it, and a two-story house at that. And you get to move down the street into the place. So like that's a story that needs to be told because
Yeah.
that's history. And everybody doesn't see it like that, but I see it through different lenses. And it's like if you don't, it's almost kind of like in the attic. You got all these things and dust and stuff that collect. It's like, oh, there's stuff up there. Like I don't know what's up there, but we just throw stuff up there. It's like,
But they
no, you
all
need to
have
go back and
stories
get it.
behind them. Yes. It's treasure.
Yeah,
And there's magic there. And it's,
yeah,
oh, yeah, I've got goosebumps the whole time you were talking. I really have. And I'm really conscious of time. But
yeah,
have no fear because you're coming back next week. So it's brilliant. And I can't wait. And hopefully we won't have as much technical issues that time.
yeah.
Oh, well, I suppose we do have to leave something for the next time. In fact, I think we can always find something
Oh
else
yeah,
to
oh
to
yeah,
retrieve and dissect and chat
yeah,
about.
yeah,
Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been fabulous. It's been great to see you.
yeah,
And yeah, I was just thinking again of something when you were saying about different pieces and different this. Are you, I would just want to quickly ask you, how are you documenting your journey finding all these bits and pieces? Because I think that's really important.
yeah,
You're giving life to everybody else's stories, but how are you documenting your part now? Because that's
yeah,
what's going to help people in the future.
yeah. So I actually record on my phone. I actually did one today, like 2 days ago. So every few days, every week or so, like that, I try and get on my phone and kind of do a recap and kind of talk through what I've been finding. And so I try and do that. The next layer is to write a lot of it kind of like in, I want to kind of almost do it in the style like a photojournalist. So I have a lot of pictures too. So I
Okay.
want to put the pictures up and kind of write through some of that too, or like how I'm feeling or what I thought about when I'm finding certain things. So I have a lot of that. I do journal that too. But some things I have my real raw reaction to. Like when I found something like, ooh, I need to get on talk.
What
So
a video. Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh,
I got
nice.
right now I have about probably about 5 hours of me talking through different stuff.
Wow.
And so that's what I was doing yesterday, transferring it from my phone to my computer. And now I'm gonna start trying to like cut that down into like smaller bits and pieces that I can start like putting up and doing stuff with. So yeah, I've been intentionally thinking about that. But the next step is actually going to these places and having somebody like film my real reaction because I want it to be my
Yeah.
authentic reaction to it. And people like, you probably gonna like, oh, when you go to certain place, you're gonna cry like I already did it. I can cry plenty of time with stuff that I'm found and it's an emotional roller coaster with a lot of this
Oh,
stuff.
it's truly a labor of love, isn't it? It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
It's amazing. Right. You can share more next week when you come on, and I can't wait. Oh, thank you so much. And I don't go anywhere. I'll join you in the green room as I
Okay.
very quickly
Okay.
wrap up. Thank you. Oh, it's fascinating. I was on a complete trek with him actually. It was amazing. Thank you for joining me and Terence here today. It's fascinating. And he's back again next week. Have an amazing week. And just very quickly, um, you can find me here every Monday at 8 p.m. GMT, which is 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. And that is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also find me on LinkedIn, direct message me if you want to know more about the F list or working alongside me, with me, I'd be absolutely delighted to. And until then, I will see you again next week. Bye.